most of you are watching, you know that the YMP Awards recognizes two personality in the mining industry, a male and a female under the age of 40, who over the past year in their career have demonstrated exceptional leadership and innovative thinking. And this interview is just about getting to know a bit more about Vincent. So Vincent, let's just dive into it. How did you start your career in mining?
Yeah, no, it was a good, it was pretty funny because I wasn't supposed to be in mining originally, but coming out of college, I actually started investment banking in a group in the power and utilities group, and then the Canadian government decided to change the taxation regime and so on. And the mining world back in 2005, 2006 was really starting to boom, and the team basically, the power and utilities and mining side were basically next to each other. So the mining guys were like, we really need help. Do you want to come and join the group? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And started working with them. And then they started shipping me off to different countries and so on to do some work. And I really fell in love with the entire industry. And since then, I've been a mining person and metals and mining person, and really from that point on, I think I've never looked back. I really enjoy traveling. I really enjoy meeting different people from different communities, and that was, even before joining mining, I always really enjoyed traveling, and from then on, I did a bit of a banking experience, and then I joined the Cisco group, and I, at one point, really decided to kind of take the leap of faith and try to run my own business, and it's worked out so far. So that's kind of how I ended up in mining.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's been a really successful path. So, and just, I guess this one's a bit more of a personal question, like everyone has their own answer, but what does it mean to you to be successful or to have success?
I mean, having success is, I think the most important thing is not necessarily having success on your own. From my point of view, it's important to be, success is very hard to pinpoint what success is, but I think if you have your goals and you achieve them over time, success might be different from one year to the other, but I think if you're able to follow that path or that journey, and along the way create really good relationships and in a sense be viewed by your peers as a good person, as a trustworthy person, I think that's for me what success is, and along the way also kind of keep a good balance from work and the personal side of your life. And I think for me that was always something that was very important for me, is to have that good balance, because I think from a mental point of view, it's one thing to focus on your achievement and on your career, but when you go back home, you also want to have that success at home. So I think for me, it's always been a bit of both. And sometimes, the pendulum goes more to one side or the other, but I think it's important to understand that, long term, at least for me, success is making sure that you keep the right people around you happy, and because I think that has a direct effect on who you are as a person. So I think, that's how I think I would probably define success. I know it's probably a bit different than maybe different other people look at it, but from my point of view, that's success.
That's really good. And just speaking of people, is there someone, and it could be more than one person, but in the industry that you look up to?
I mean, specifically, there's always like the legends of mining. I would say that, a lot of the names come back, the Lassons, the Friedlands, and so on. But I think for me, it's looking at, the entrepreneurs that are maybe 5 or 10 or 15 years older than I am. When I was 20 years old, they were 35 and so on. And I always looked at them being, okay, maybe I want to be like him, or maybe I always follow his path. So, there's, it's always been like, we're not necessarily a big, the mining industry is not a big industry. So it's a very close knit community. And, there's a lot of, I guess, the past winners, which for me in the last, 5-10 years were always, people I kind of looked up to. So Steve DeJong, who's a close friend now, even Nolan Watson, who I just transacted with. Like, these are people that for me, I looked up to more than I would say necessarily the legends. Maybe I'm less connected to them, but obviously I think the important thing is to look at people that keep on doing new things and keep delivering on new ideas. I think that's where for me, I kind of focus on when I think about people I look up to.
And what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Work hard. Work hard. I think, looking back at it, I think that's always been, one of the main things growing up is, and I think even from a family point of view, my father and my mom always told me, make sure you could be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't work hard, you're not going to achieve your goals. So I think that's one thing that I always kept with me. I think if I would go back and maybe, talk to my 20-year-old self, I would also say make sure you take that leap of faith, because it's not easy always to look at change, and there's always some fear aspect that you're like, am I making the right choice here, and so on. But I think with fear you bring out the best of yourself, and I think self-confidence, for me at least, is something that's very important. As you go through these different episodes in life where it's good to be scared once in a while, but as you go through these different obstacles, your self-confidence builds up, and I think that's something that's important. You have to have that attitude that no matter what, you have confidence in your abilities and in your values, and as you focus, I think that's something that as you bring that attitude with you, you're able to achieve the different goals that you set for yourself.
You've been throughout your career in leadership position, and especially now at Nomad. So according to you, what does it take to be a good leader?
Yeah, I think I've said it before. I think making sure you have the right people around you. So making sure you have the right team. For me, especially in the last Nomad chapter, having a person like Joseph de la Plante next to me was key and very important. And I think I probably wouldn't have been able to be here today without him. So, making sure you have the right people, and I think having the common goal as well. It's one thing to have a good team and all these good, personalities around you, but if you're not focused on the same goal and achieving the same goal, that's something that's just you're not going to achieve success. And I think also is making sure to have patience for that cohesion to develop. And if you just want things to happen very quickly, I think sometimes you might shoot yourself in the foot. So I think having patience, having that common goal, but yeah, most importantly, having the right team around you, because there's no way you're getting to the finish line without having that proper team surround you.
Okay. And this next question is a bit more personal, but I think it's good to know what a CEO does in the morning. So do you have a morning routine? Whether
do I have a
at work
morning
or pre-work?
routine?
Yeah. Like before you get to
well, first off, it's very cliche, but I actually make my bed every morning. But I think the morning routine is, I usually, while my kids and we have breakfast, I don't really have breakfast, but I put together a morning concoction, a greenish thing, that I have every morning. My kids look at it and they're disgusted by it, but I love it. So I would say that every morning I have my green smoothie or whatever it is, and that I put in there, and yeah, so it makes them laugh every morning that I drink it. But that's usually how I start my day, and usually if I don't have it, it's because something's gone really wrong. But I would say as a pre-morning or pre-work routine, it's usually my green concoction, which everybody that sees it finds it disgusting, but I love it. So
that sounds like a powerful one.
yeah.
So is there, and another personal question, but is there, and sometimes our members find it quite useful to hear that, but is there a book you've given the most? Or I feel like nowadays it's almost Audible or podcast, but
yeah, well, a book or I've recommended or I've given, I would say it's probably one of the first books that I really, really enjoyed reading. I don't really read a lot of fiction, so I usually read a lot of, I would say, autobiographies or self-help type things, or self-confidence even. It's something that sometimes I just like reading, biographies of people that have gone through not necessarily hardship, but like pretty intense stuff. But I would say that the Andre Agassi biography called Open is one of my favorites, or at least one of those books that I remember, because obviously he's been very successful, but there's a lot of trauma also in and a lot of ups and downs during his career and life. And when you read, it's one thing to perceive something from the outside, and I think everybody kind of knew who Andre Agassi was when he was young, and an athlete. But when you read his side of the story, it kind of gives you perspective on how people deal with certain issues in their life. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful books that I've read over well, I guess it's been a few years now, but yeah. And so that's one that when people don't necessarily read or say I'm not really a reader and I kind of want to get into it, that's the one I give, because typically people read that book and it kind of spikes their interest in reading more.
That's a good one. Very good recommendation. Any plans for 2023 that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, we're now that we've completed the sale of Nomad, we're very busy. So my partner Joseph Delaplan and our geologist Vincent we've created our private company. We're looking at a lot of stuff. We're doing a lot of due diligence, going around the world, looking at a lot of different opportunities. So we're looking at creating a new company again in the mining, metals and mining world. And so it's we're basically back where we were at the end of 2018, early 2019. Starting and incubating a new company. We're looking at a lot of stuff, I would say, more on the base metals and critical metal side of things. But yeah, no, I mean, it's we're very busy. We're looking forward to building something again. This is a sector that we love, that I love, and that's the incredible thing about metals and mining, is that there's so much stuff to do and so many people to meet. With where the world is going, we need more mining, we need more minerals. So it's something that as a team we want to be part of. We want to make sure that we leave a better world, or a world in better shape to our kids and so on. So we need more critical metals, more strategic minerals, and I think that's something that for us we're going to try to play a role in, and hopefully in this new iteration of, not sure it's going to be called Nomad, but whatever company comes with that process, I think that's something that we want to be part of, creating a more sustainable world for everyone. And yeah, so that's kind of, very busy. I would qualify our current period at the moment.
Good luck with that. And just before we wrap up, any last piece of advice you would give to our YMP members? Yeah,
I mean, the main thing is don't be scared to reach out to people. We have people emailing us and calling us once out of the blue once in a while, just to have advice. And I think I've done that before when I was younger. I've reached out to a lot of different people, and I think that's something that sometimes is a bit lost when you're with the new generation, because sometimes people just assume that you're too busy or whatnot. But I mean, reaching out to people for advice is very important. I've had advice, or I've cold called or emailed people without thinking that I was going to get a response, and all of a sudden it's like boom, pops up, or you get a call, or somebody answers on the other line, and you're like, oh, okay, I've actually reached out to this person. And just having that, just don't be shy. I mean, it's there's so much resource out there that you could tap into. I think that's something that's very important.
Yeah, really, really good. Thank you so much, Vincent, for this interview. It was great. I feel like we got to know you a bit better and where you're heading. So yeah, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, make sure you join our YMP Award ceremony on March 4th at the Shangri-La in Toronto, just at the kickoff of PDAC.
Thank you very much.